fast cars.
Hello, ladies.
This is Women Take the Wheel.
Sit down, strap in, and turn on all you got.
Nikki Clark is taking you behind the scenes.
You're ready to win. Let me tell you, these cars, they get up and go pretty good.
Introducing you to women drivers, crew members, and fans of the racing world. Plus, Nikki is bringing you the latest racing news in Indiana and beyond.
We're going to bring it to you from the tower as they get ready to pull into the beam.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network.
All right, strap yourselves in.
Woo! Getting off the track and in your ears. This is Women Take the Wheel.
Come on, baby.
With your host,
Here we go.
Nikki Clark.
Hi, I'm Nikki Clark, your host for Women Take the Wheel, here on the All Indiana Podcast Network. On this episode, you'll get to know more about NHRA top field driver Jasmine Salinas. Jasmine and I had a great conversation covering so many aspects of her career, including the valuable lessons she's learned over the years from her dad, Mike Salinas, what it's like getting back in the driver's seat after a massive A-field dragster crash, her journey this year into the top field ranks, and the camaraderie among the women drivers in the NHRA. Stay tuned.
Your day moves fast. Your news should too. That's why there's a new and improved Wish TV app bringing you more local news, breaking alerts, live streaming, weather forecasts, radar, and Indiana sports all in one place. Customize your news feed to see the stories that matter most to you and get the information you need when you need it. Download the new and improved Wish TV app today on iOS or Android and take News 8 with you everywhere.
And welcome to another Women Take the Wheel. And I'm so excited today to have Jasmine Salinas with me, top field driver. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. I get to talk drag racing, so I am always happy. And we have finally connected. I know I've wanted to talk to you for so long, and both of our schedules have been off. So I'm so glad we finally get to talk about you.
I know. I'm very excited to finally get to do this with you as well.
And with you, you've been doing this a long time. I don't think people realize how long, but you've been driving since you were a kid. I mean, all you girls have been driving. When did you start driving, and what was your first car?
I started racing Junior Dragsters when I was 14. So I think compared to some of the people out here, that's considered old, but I don't know. It was perfect time for me. I felt it was great because I didn't even have my driver's license. And I actually got my driver's license a year later than everybody else because I wanted to wait for my sister. So I was not driving anything else except my Junior Dragsters. So that was pretty awesome. That
is cool. And I bet you don't even remember this, but back in, I think it was 13, 14, that the sports company I worked for, Ford Sports Marketing, we actually worked with your family. So I have pictures of you back strapping in your dad and when the Lagana boys worked for you, I mean, with the orange dragster. And the thing that struck me is you guys are family. The first thing I think of when I see scrappers is family. And it's all girls and you all race. I mean, did you guys all race as kids?
Yeah, we did. Because my dad started racing. He was the one that really got us all into it. And so he started racing in the Nostalgia Series at our local tracks in Sacramento and Bakersfield. And we were kind of just, we'd go to the racetrack every weekend with him. He'd teach us what to do. But for the most part, we were kind of just running wild around the racetrack with the other kids, really knowing what to do. And so I think he wanted to get us a little more structured and involved. So that's when he introduced us to the Junior Dragsters. And he asked, he's like, do you guys want, is this something you want to do? And it was nice because he gave us the option to decide. And I know there's, I've heard that a lot of kids don't really get the option to, especially if they're racing families. They're kind of just something that they're put into. And so I really appreciate that, he said, if one of us wanted to do it, that's fine. If all of us want to do it, that's great. And, of course, all four of us were like, yeah, of course we want to do, what our dad's doing. So we all had our own Junior Dragsters, and it was absolute chaos because it'd be him and my mom and then another family friend coming out and helping out. But all four of us would be working on our cars, and we made this little kind of attachment where now you see all the Junior Dragsters have it now, but at the time, at least at our tracks, nobody really had it. So you'd have like attached 4 Junior Dragsters pretty much all together onto a golf cart, and we'd tow it up. And you just send them, and you start with my youngest sister and then work through me. And, we'd have 4 Junior Dragsters all the way at the top. And we'd slowly start pushing ourselves back, waiting for our other sisters to get there. And we didn't really know what we were doing, but it was pretty exciting to just be able to go and race with Dad and Mom.
Oh my gosh. And it gives you something to do, and it keeps a family together. Because like I said, you guys are a family. What is like one of the best lessons you've learned about racing as a kid from your dad?
I think the best thing, and this was even kind of before racing, because, we had the Junior Dragster, but he started, my sister and I, Jackie, we have our family business is a trash center. And so we have all this heavy Caterpillar equipment in our yard. And so really the first thing I ever drove actually was I was 4 years old, and my dad put me in a car seat. And this was at the end of the day when all the, employees had left. Mm-hmm. And he strapped us with our car seats in an excavator, and then gave us walkie-talkies. And, he's like, go pick up this car, move it over here. And so he was always, at a young age, really like teaching us how to kind of have our own like self-autonomy as far as like learning how to do something on our own away from adults being there. And I think that really translated, especially in the racetrack, because like unlike other sports, if you're having an issue as a kid, or you need help, or you need to ask somebody, you can always just walk off the field, or walk off the court. But in drag racing, it felt so empowering at such a young age to be able to just, be sent down the racetrack. And for, however many seconds you were driving, it was just you and your race car. And you couldn't, you had to learn how to make decisions on your own. And that was something that, he always instilled with us, is learning how to think for ourselves, rely on ourselves and trust our instincts. And I think that definitely showed up, especially in drag racing, as we continue to pursue it.
Wow, that is incredible. And like I said, and we'll get into more about your daddy coming up in a bit. So after juniors, what was the next car that you drove then?
So after juniors, I was convinced that, I was going to be racing the rest of my life every single weekend. I was looking at colleges near, racetracks. I was like, the only racetracks I knew were Bakersfield and Sacramento. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to college in Bakersfield or Sacramento, and or Sonoma. And my mom, I was the first one in my family to go to college. My mom was first generation American. And so going to college and focusing on that was something that was really big in our family. And so my mom said, racing will always be there. Focus on school, and get something, to go explore and study and make sure you can get a job after. Yeah. Because racing's not going to pay the bills. Oh, yeah. And so I was very lucky that, they had me go and focus on college. So I was out of a car and didn't race anything for over 10 years. And it wasn't until my dad started to really get more involved full time with Top Fuel, professionally racing. I think in 2018 or 2017 is kind of when he started rebuilding everything again. Cause he'd come out in like 2011, like a year after I graduated high school, but was, kind of just part time. And we were all trying to figure out everything and how you go Top Fuel racing. So, I think around like 2017, 2018 is when he kind of really got back into it. And around that time, I'd already graduated college and I was working at a job, and I was like, this isn't really, I'm not really excited waking up every single day. And,
yeah, I've been there.
Racing always kind of was in the back of my mind. And so I had asked my dad, I was like, can I, be involved in the race team? I'll work in the office. I'll do, learn billing and learn everything about, the race team and how you make it run every single day. And so they had me in there doing that. And at the time, our office was in San Jose, California, and our shop was in San Jose. And so I was in there, and, by the end of the year, I went from doing billing and filing paperwork to rebuilding superchargers and learning how to work on the car with the other race team. And then the following year, I started traveling with the team and, setting up and tearing down the pits and doing everything, floaters, washing parts. And I loved learning every single aspect of the car and getting to turn it around, and the adrenaline of building this machine that was sending, another human in it. And I think that second layer of getting to be really involved with the car and the team kind of rekindled my desire to be like, okay, I want to stop building these things and I actually want to drive these things. And so I think it was 2018 is when I decided we went to go get my Super Comp license with Frank Hawley, which was really great because, you know, I'd been out of a car for so long. I basically had zero racing experience, I would say. And so getting to do the licensing course with him and hearing, you know, all the insights that he has for any racers, regardless of what level you're in. My dad even showed up and attended the class that I was, and he learned a lot. But yeah, I did my Super Comp license, and then I spent a year licensing and testing and learning the ropes of top alcohol dragster because I was told that's the stepping stone for top fuel, and I knew that was what I wanted to ultimately do.
Yes, and I've watched you in top alcohol, and what I'd love about the top alcohol class is that it's a great class for women. And I even have pictures of you, you know, at Indy where it was like the finals and it was semifinals. It was 3 girls in the semifinals. Yeah. And I'm like, this is what I love about this class. And of course, I just love top alcohol. But that also brings me into, I just think you're one of the bravest people because I watched this happen. It just terrified me. And you walked away. Your crash in Gainesville. I mean, I felt like, I'm like, oh my God, how do you come back from that? But you were just like, you came back even more fierce after that. What was that like, you know, going through that?
Thank you. I appreciate that you said that. You thought I appeared fierce because, to be honest, that was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my entire life was get back in that race car and keep hitting the gas over and over again. I was definitely, every time I showed up to the track, felt sick trying to get back in. I was crying in my helmet, you know, for 2 minutes, you know, I'd shut everything off. And I think that was a really, really powerful thing that I learned from that crash was learning how to compartmentalize my emotions and focus on, you know, the task at hand and my goals and what I needed to do and thinking about, you know, the greater picture that there's a whole team relying on me to get the job done. And, you know, after I pulled my parachutes and everything was done, then I could cry and let it all out and, you know, stay with my emotions. But that was something really big that I really learned and grew from. But it was so challenging and so scary. And I think, you know, when we got back from Florida after my crash, my dad and mom, we had a family meeting and they sat me down and they said, you know, look, nobody would ever, you know, judge you for not getting back in the race car. There's, you know, the people that have been out here racing way longer than you, never even crashed. And, you know, they would say, you know, they would never, nobody would ever pass judgment on you. They're like, but what do you want to do? And I said, you know, I thought about it. I was like, let me think about it. But I eventually came back and told them, I was like, you know, I have to get back in this race car. I can't let the car win. I can't let my fear win. And I think the other side too of it was I was still so new and young in my career. And I felt that there's still so much more that I had to accomplish. And so I think really the driving motivator for me getting back in the car was really just to prove myself right that, you know, I was so much more better than this, that I could, you know, achieve so much more and also not let something like that hold me back. And I think, you know, what was that, 2021? And now we're several years later and, you know, I achieved so much more than I ever imagined I would the following years after that. But I think what that crash really taught me was just because something's scary or it makes you uncomfortable, you know, that doesn't mean that when you walk away, if anything, you know, that's really when you go and jump right in and go after it because you're going to figure out, you know, who you are on the other side of that.
And now real quick then, talking about crashes, was it scarier when you crashed or was it scarier to watch your sister crash on her bike?
Oh, good one. Absolutely 100% watching my sister crash. I think something, since, you know, she's crashed on a motorcycle and I've crashed my race car, we talk about this all the time, but I think something that kind of gets overlooked when motorcycles crash, you know, you're watching what's happening to the other human. When a race car crashes, you're kind of just watching the car, and for the most part, you can't physically see what's happening to the human. And so that element on top of just knowing it's my younger sister, and my mom and dad are up there and trying to, stay calm and collected and also not panic. You never want to see family crash ever, but it's definitely made us both a lot stronger and I think smarter racers.
That is I never thought about it that way. I just know that I've asked my top field drivers, they're like, yeah, I never drive bike. I don't fall out of my car, but you're right. You're watching the actual person. And same thing, your dad just, raced some badasses because same thing. She was just like, she was pissed. I'm like, it came across, but you guys are tough. You guys are so tough. But
I think also, Gianna and I also were probably our first response when we're upset is to cry. So
same girl, same.
Just to try to be angry. If not, we're going to be crying, but usually we end up crying anyway. So.
I'm the same, and I get so mad at myself. I'm like, I'm just crying because I'm angry. Don't look at me.
Yeah.
Come on. And how is it to go through this whole experience having your sister right there? I mean, I imagine that's got to be pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely. It's been I'm so fortunate that, even though she came out and made her debut in 2019 in Pro Stock Motorcycle in the professional category, then I came out in Top Alcohol Dragster in the Sportsman Series. And being able to go through, we've both spent a whole year licensing on, our respective classes that we are going towards. And we both spent a year, learning and testing and challenging and then making our debut together at the same racetrack. And then going through these highs and lows, both having crashes, both, we always knowing that there's somebody else that's going through what you're going through and has experienced it already, that when you're having a really bad day at the track, because with racing, it's usually, more challenging days than winning days, but having that other person there to kind of be your voice of reason or your little cheerleader when, you've gone through all your confidence and your self-doubt's really pouring in, just having your sister there. They know you better than you know yourself sometimes. And I've been so grateful to be able to go through this experience with her. And then now this year, with my dad not being at the racetrack, it has just been her and I majority of this race season. And so we've even really leaned on each other even more for support and really made sure that we continue to be there and support each other. And we're really grateful to have that support system.
Gotcha. And then let's go into the top field part of that. So, like I said, I believe you did it the right way. Like you guys, you spent how many test sessions? Like you just didn't test, jump in the car, get your license, whatever. You spent some time, you worked at. What was that first experience of pushing that gas pedal at top fuel like?
Oh, it was the first time I think it was right before licensing and the first time I was going to do it. And I was talking with Austin Prock, and Austin kind of said something to me and he's like, you either have it or you don't, but you'll figure it out tomorrow when you're going to hit the gas. So I was like, holy cow. Okay. So I made a little reminder for, 7 a.m. on my phone to pop up. It's like, you either got it or you don't. Let's figure it out today. And so as I was going to hit the gas, I said that to myself and I was like, okay, you either got it or you don't. You're either going to get scared and close your eyes and not have it. And that's fine because most people can't, or you're going to figure it out if you do. And we hit the gas, and the power that these race cars have is so beyond, most people can't comprehend it. And even me driving it, I've had my 11th race now, done some licensing test sessions. I'm still trying to be able to describe the feeling and sensation of it, but it's so incredibly powerful. Because not only are you feeling it in your body physically and the G-forces, but your mind. That's, for me, that's been a huge thing, is just realizing, okay, my body can catch up and my body kind of goes with it, but getting my mind to catch up to these kind of speeds, it's wild. Like humans aren't meant to be processing information this fast. And yet, over time, as we continue doing it, our brains are going to catch up. But it was the most exhilarating and exciting experience I've ever had hitting the gas for the first time. And, that feeling still hasn't changed. Every single time I hit the gas, it still feels like that. And I hope I never lose that feeling.
I love it. I'm like, yeah, you stay in there. I don't think I want to experience that. But yeah, I'm just like, no, everybody knows I do PR. I don't drive. Just see me on the golf cart. So now this year you made your debut a little bit earlier than you wanted to. Mm-hmm. Was that a little bit stressful to all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm doing this now? Was that stressful at all, or were you like, I'm ready?
Oh, no, I was 100% felt unprepared, did not feel ready. I had stopped racing A field the year before, about halfway through the season. So the Indy Nationals. And so I had maybe, like 6-8 races left. And I just sat out. So I had been out of a car for 9 months, had not hit the gas on anything. And then the first thing I was getting back into was a top fuel car.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So that was incredibly intimidating. And then on top of that, there was the whole element of just, making sure that my dad was doing better and was going to recover. And then we had a big sponsor for that race weekend with a lot of the sponsors and guests coming out. And so it was a huge weekend for our race team, for our family. And honestly, I people ask me about the Pomona race where I made my debut, and I don't remember much because I was pretty much on autopilot, just trying to focus on trying to get through the weekend. And it wasn't until I think a couple races after where I could kind of like settle in and, let my emotions come in and start to really enjoy what I was doing. But yeah, Pomona was an absolute mad dash. And the only reason any of it came together was honestly because of our crew that we have. Our guys really came together. So everything was so last minute as far as getting me fitted for the car, rearranging everything around me. But everybody came together. They all, shared how, confident they were in me and made me feel that I can jump in a car and do this.
And you did it. And I got to tell you, it made my heart so happy to see your dad back out in Sonoma. Seeing him at the track, that just made me so happy. And I wasn't the only one. We're all just like, did you see Mike? He's back out at the track. And so I just got to tell you, we were all so happy to see him there. And what was it like finally having him watch you in person? Was that an extra little layer?
Oh, absolutely. It's something that I knew they were going to be coming out to a race. He had been working towards Sonoma, and I'm so glad that it happened. I'm also very glad that I had several races to kind of get under my belt to really get my comfort in the car for the race team, all of us to come together and have our little routines going. So it was nice to really show up and have him see, all these races later, all these months that he's been missing out, show him, the progress that we've made, show him my comfort levels in the car. And then just knowing, my mom and dad are standing on the starting line watching me race. They never missed a single race, minus our regional races. But I only had a couple of those in A field. But other than that, at every national event, they were always on the starting line, always had my mom there to hug me. And this year, I didn't have any of that. And so finally getting that comfort, being able to show them like, hey, look, that I hope I'm making you proud. Let's watch me race your race car, And so that was really, really incredible. And they're hoping to come out to a couple more races this year. So I'm pretty excited.
Good. And so we asked your advice earlier about life advice, but what tips did he give you that really helped you behind the wheel of a top field dragster? Like, did he give you like some little snippets to be like, hey, when you're driving this thing, here's what to know?
He's given so much great advice. I think, again, the biggest lesson that he just reminded me was that finding a balance between feeling confident, but then also respecting the race cars. I think, obviously I carry a lot of that with me from my crash, but everybody says that top alcohol is a stepping stone into top fuel. From the outside, the procedures look the same. And, in theory, you look at the miles per hour and, it's only going maybe, 20, 30 miles per hour faster. So it doesn't seem that far off. But when you hit the gas in one of these top fuel cars and then your clutch kicks in a little around half track for you, and you get a whole second lift. These cars are the only thing where in drag racing where they continue pulling. A-Fuel cars, pro stock bikes, pro stock cars, everything kind of, settles down around half track. And so you have time to sit around and think. These cars are so otherworldly, and stepping into a Top Fuel car from A-Fuel truly felt like I was, a whole universe away. A-Fuel felt very black and white, and, you kind of get the hang of things. This Top Fuel car, there's colors and senses and experiences where I'm like, I don't even know these things existed. And so much of that has to do with, getting your mind caught up to these kind of speeds. And I think there's this element where you start doing something like hitting the gas in a Top Fuel car and realizing, okay, I can do this. And finding that balance of not letting, any overconfidence get in the way. And, you have to have this good relationship with your race car, but you also have to respect it, because one minute you can be doing something and, making a bunch of really good straight laps. And the next thing you know, these cars can turn on you and make you look really dumb really fast. And I'm learning that every single time I'm at the track. But I think it's just mostly just, respecting the power and not letting you as a driver think that, you're really in control.
And something else I love about you is that and it's the whole kind of Top Fuel class, the women in there, is the camaraderie that you all have. Like, you and Travis are like best friends. And a couple weeks ago, I loved it. The fact that you, Julie, and Ida were all out, like, you guys are working out together and everything here in town. I mean, how fun is that?
Yeah, it's really great. I guess I'm still new to the Top Fuel class, so I'm still learning, learning the ropes and everything. But I think that was definitely an element that I loved in Top Alcohol Dragster, was how we were competitive at the track, but there was still this sense of community that we all tried to build away from the racetrack. And I think, now that we are all slowly making our ways up into Top Fuel, that's something that we are trying to bring out more and, continue building each other up and being, each other's cheerleaders. And we're all in this together. And, at the end of the day, we are competing against each other, but always having another person out there and joining the class, that's always what you want. You want more drivers out there. You want more people to feel that they can be a part of that class and find a place for themselves there. And
you're so lucky, because I'm like, I can't talk shop with any of my girlfriends. They don't even have any idea what I do here at the TV station. But I'm like, you get to, you drive a Top Fuel machine and you can go to the other girls like, oh my gosh, can you, how great is that?
Yeah, it's so, I love that. I really, really love that. And I always say how fortunate and lucky I am to be able to do this sport, to be able to participate in drag racing. It is a male-dominated sport, but we still also have, plenty of women out here competing and also succeeding. And so knowing, if I need somebody to go braid my hair, I know there's always going to be another woman out there that can go and do that for me, or if other women, Brittany the other, a couple races ago, she's like, you know how to braid hair? I'm like, yeah, because I braided it right before a race on Sunday. And she's like, okay, I need to come to you because I don't know how to braid my hair. And I was like, all these little things where it's like, or, if there's things that we're struggling in the car that other men that, are, 6 feet tall aren't going to understand what, shorter women are experiencing. But we have the more women that are coming into this class, it's created more of a space where we're not just showing up, but we're feeling that there's a place for us here to belong and thrive in. And I love that so much. And we want to all keep building that up and creating that space for more women to come in and, just all hang out together and support each other.
That's my favorite things about NHRA, is because you don't see as many women out there together as you do, NASCAR and IndyCar. So this is one of the things I love about NHRA. So, and moving on too, because I love, you also have an amazing social presence. And at the end, we'll let you get in where to find everything. But you guys have the best, great videos, great pictures, and I understand that's a team thing too, between you and your sister and everything.
So our youngest sister, Janae, she handles our race team, social media, and the websites, and then merch design. Gianna and I run our own individual social accounts, which at first was something, we initially wanted our younger sister to do for us, which I think most drivers, they have their social media manager handling, creating all the content and putting it out for them. But I'm actually really glad that, Janae told us, early on, she's like, no, you guys need to do it yourselves. One, I think because she probably didn't want to take on all that work. But I think the other side of it was, she says, that's how, she's like, I can go and put stuff out, but that's not going to create a community. She's like, you are the only ones that, know yourselves better than anyone else. So you guys are the ones that have to create the community. And so a lot of it was just trial and error and doing different things and playing around. And it's been really exciting. And I have a lot of fun with my social media, getting to put content out because, like I said, I think it's just an extra little layer of myself that sometimes I feel doesn't get to be seen at the racetrack or obviously wouldn't get shown, on TV. So it's just an extra layer where anybody that is interested in racing or motorsports or, what it's like to be, a woman driving a race with her family racing every weekend. It's all these different little side stories that get missed. And I think social media is a great way to showcase that, but then also build community and connect with other people, both within the sport and outside of it.
100% agree. I'm like, I just want to be like Family Feud. Good answer. Because I'm like, you do. Nobody knows you better than you. And like you said, it's giving fans an insight that they might not get. I just can't tell you how I feel. And then one other thing to bring up too is you had a documentary made about you that didn't it win awards if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, that was some of my coworkers. I used to work at a design firm in San Francisco called IDEO, and a really incredible firm, and a lot of great creative people working there. And there was a couple people in film that I had done a share at work talking about my side weekend hobby, which was drag racing. And they were so intrigued and immediately wanted to do some filming. And so we came up with some ideas, and they're like, we just want to do a quick little doc, more for fun, something for you to have, and we'll just see what happens with it. And so we had some fun kind of like filming and figuring out what the storyline was going to be. And then they said they were going to submit it to some film festivals and just see what happens. And it ended up getting accepted into, I think, 6 or 7 film festivals, including the International Motorsport Film Festival, which is really big festival, and they hold the award ceremony in London. And so we were selected as one of the finalists for that as well. So that was pretty exciting and cool to, even see that other people were interested in that story and getting to display the video all over the country and even internationally.
Well, and that goes along the line of, what all the racers are trying to do is to introduce racing to different audiences, people who might not know. So, thank you, because there are a lot of people out there now who are like, oh, I didn't know what drag racing was, and you are a part of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think especially now, like within past couple of years, it feels that motorsports is really having a moment. And I think a lot of that's thanks to the Drive to Survive Netflix series with F1, and then NASCAR becoming really popular through social media. And so I think there is this real desire from people who aren't, gearheads or aren't, car fans, but they're interested in motorsports, and then finding, discovering that there's something like drag racing where it's not getting that much attention. But I think it's slowly getting there. And I think more and more people are starting to see it. And I think, utilizing social media and our platforms has been one way where a lot of people, that have become fans of the sport, I've met, through social media, and they said they had no idea about it, but now they're obsessed and love it. And they, pick it over NASCAR any day. So that's always something that I love to hear.
Oh, no, heck yes. We were just having that conversation the other day. Drag racing, you can sit in the stands and see the entire race. You can come and go as you want, whereas like NASCAR, you can't see what's on the other side of the track. So I'm like, NHRA, you get it all in one swoop. There's no like missing anything. You can see it all. And the fact that they get to come meet you.
Exactly. And that's another element of it that I love. And we just had Tony Breitinger, who races over on the ARCA series, and she has she's done really, really well with her social media, and she's a Victoria's Secret model, and she's doing really well on, that element. And she came over to a drag race with us in Charlotte, 4-wide, earlier this year. And she was even blown away by just how accessible it was. And she was saying, if she wants to have anybody come over for her races, or if she's going over to the NASCAR races, that all the different badges and levels. And she really fell in love with how accessible the sport is and how welcoming it was. And so hearing something like that from another, racer that's also in another form of motorsport, really appreciating what drag racing does, I think that really spoke volumes.
Oh, it does. I was just at the Brickyard 400 here in Indianapolis, and it's like fans really, unless you get like extra pass, you can't go anywhere. Mm-hmm. So the drivers just get mobbed at Gasoline Alley. Whereas I'm like, NHRA, you can just go up their trailer and get it. You have to stand in line and mob the trail, I love it. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up by asking my favorite questions. So, kind of a little rapid fire. What is your favorite track? I think I know the answer, but I'm still going to ask.
Gosh, that's hard. Favorite tracks for different reasons.
You can have more than one. I'll let you have more than one.
Okay. Well, okay. I'll keep it down to 3. Sonoma, Charlotte, and Vegas.
Oh, I'm with you on this. I love Sonoma, but that's only because I drink wine. I think maybe 2. And Charlotte, they just treat you so well there. Your favorite race memory?
I think my first win in Top Alcohol Dragster.
That was a good one. And where was that at?
That was at Gainesville, exactly a year after my crash in Gainesville.
That is crazy. I love that full circle moment. I love Gainesville track too, just for that too. And what advice would you have for other girls and women who look up to you who want to get into the sport of drag racing?
Meet as many people as possible. I'm very shy and introverted, but if there's something that you really, really want to be a part of, then, show up as yourself, first of all, but don't also, let anything like being shy or scared or embarrassed or not knowing anything hold you back from wanting to participate. There will be people out there that will want to help you out. Don't be afraid to ask the dumb questions, because there are no dumb questions. That's how I went from, filing papers to getting to be taught how to work on a race car, was asking all the dumb questions. And so there's a space for everybody here, and just figuring out what you want to do and how you want to be a part of. Just meet as many people as possible.
I love it. And tell everybody now where they can follow your journey and on social media, on Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff.
Well, Instagram is where I'm most active at, and this handle will be the same across all my other social media platforms. But my Instagram handle is Jasmine Salinas, and I'll spell that for you because I had to play a little bit with it. It's JASSALINASS.
Perfect. Yeah, and then we also have scrappersracing.com, where we can also find you and learn more about the family of racing. So thank you so much again for doing this for me and making time for me. It's an absolute pleasure to hear from you and hear your story. And I think a lot of people will see a lot of good in this. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate the time, Nikki. I'm so glad we finally got to do this.
Thank you to Jasmine for joining me again, and thank you for listening. I'm Nikki Clark, and this is Women Take the Wheel. Be sure to connect and follow on Facebook when you search for Women Take the Wheel podcast. And be sure to follow and subscribe to this podcast now on the All Indiana Podcast Network.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is Women Take the Wheel with Nikki Clark. Follow and subscribe to this podcast now and discover even more great podcasts on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Online at allindianapodcastnetwork.com. allindianapodcastnetwork.com.